some of the best batsmen in the world. Got Sunil Gavaskar, Sachin Tendulkar, Dilip Vengsarkar, Ravi Shastri, Sanjay Manjrekar, Rohit Sharma, Ajinkya Rahane. I mean, the list is long.
Last 10 years, the mantle seems to have passed on to Delhi. Virat Kohli has come up in a very big way, and the past one decade he kind of represents Indian batsmanship.
They've been forced to play because probably the board or the coach, somebody has told them that if you don't play, then we might not consider you for the next tour. Probably that's the only reason why they're playing.
A warm welcome to all of you. This is our first episode for the year. Mumbai Cricket Association is commemorating the 50th anniversary of the iconic Wankhede Stadium. That is going to be our topic for the day. We're going to talk today about the rich legacy of Mumbai cricket, the past and the present, and dwell a little bit on the future as well. Mahesh, such an assemblage of champions, legends of Indian cricket and Mumbai cricket, or Bombay cricket as traditionalists would like to say. A legacy unmatched by any other team, any other region in India.
So look at Mumbai cricket for the time being, only from 1974, because that's what the Wankhede Stadium age is, right? 50 years. We've produced some of the best batsmen in the world. We've got Sunil Gavaskar, Sachin Tendulkar, Dilip Vengsarkar, Ravi Shastri, Sanjay Manjrekar, Rohit Sharma, Ajinkya Rahane. I mean, the list is long. And one of the reasons why the Mumbai cricket started getting better and better was the reason only because the players gave back to the game through the younger players all the knowledge that they had got all over the world. Like Gavaskar was probably instrumental in inspiring Tendulkar to take up cricket. And whenever Gavaskar met Tendulkar when he was pretty young, gave him a lot of knowledge, gave him what to expect in the international arena. So the legacy was passed on from one generation to the other. Now, in the last few years, if you see, Rohit Sharma has been India's captain. He's been successful India's captain. He won the World Cup in June. So cricket in Mumbai has been the only sport being played for the last 50 years.
True. So around the time we started following cricket as a very serious fan, like both of us, I would say, Sunil Gavaskar would have been at the peak of his career. The best batsman in the world. When I started following cricket, he was going after Garfield Sobers' record of 26 centuries, and then Bradman's record of 29 centuries, and then the 10,000, all that. So he was the number one in terms of being a run accumulator. But Mumbai had a rich legacy before that also as well. Right? Stories we have heard.
Yeah.
Any names stand out? For example, I could think of the great Ajit Wadekar's captaincy, or the runs scored by Paulie Umbriga, the great Vijay Manjrekar. So it's been a long story. 42 Ranji trophies.
Yeah.
So if you look at what Mumbai cricket has accumulated, 42 Ranji trophies and 15 Irani trophies. Again, more than any other team, which obviously by virtue of the 42 Ranji trophies that happen,
they get more opportunities.
Yeah, the rest of India tends to win the trophy more than the Ranji champion for the year. So, do you want to talk a little bit about the memories associated with those inspirational stories of the pre-Gavaskar era?
So Ajit Wadekar is one name that comes to my mind straight away because he led India beautifully in West Indies and in England. And in fact Gavaskar made his debut under Ajit Wadekar.
So it's not a very well-known story. That's the Test series, overseas Test series wins in the 70s is not something that we all tend to remember so easily. It's somewhere locked away somewhere.
Correct.
Obscured by more recent stories.
Yeah, and we always keep saying that we were very poor travelers. It was not the case. We've also won abroad. We've won in West Indies, we've won in England. Again in 1976, we beat them in Port of Spain. In fact, West Indies were under tremendous pressure then. Now coming back to Ajit Wadekar, a lot of people talk about Ajit Wadekar's brilliant captaincy. What they don't actually give him too much of credit for is his batting. He was fabulous in the Ranji Trophy or the domestic tournaments in India. He was a very good captain, very shrewd captain. But if you see, he looked very laid back. His walk was very
Okay.
lazy, and so a lot of people thought that he was not aggressive. You don't have to.
So was he a elegant player in the David Gower mold?
Yes, he came in at number 3,
Okay.
and a lot of people in those days used to call him Len Hutton of the Mumbai
Of India,
of
of-
domestic cricket, because he scored runs in huge numbers. Unfortunately, that doesn't get too much of recognition because people only talk about his captaincy where India won in both England and West Indies. He was a very shrewd captain, very likable player. So those are the reasons why he was such a big name in Indian cricket. But like what you said, these victories have been pushed to the back burner. People don't talk about that. These were stalwarts. I mean, look at somebody like Vijay Manjurekar, Vijay Merchant, Polly Umbregar, Ajit Wadekar. These guys are massive, big names who played cricket for the joy of cricket. I mean, Vishnu, we should all realize that in those days, there was hardly any money to be earned. So it had to be passion, it had to be the joy to play. They would just love to go out and bat. Another thing which strikes Mumbai cricket a lot is that Mumbai has always been producing great batters. Of course, we have had our Nari contractors and all these guys, but predominantly we've always produced batsmen. Do you know why we do that?
Is it the Kanga League, the treacherous conditions you encounter?
Yeah. So domestic cricket in Mumbai, that is local cricket, the Maidan cricket, the Kanga League, it's one of the most challenging tournaments. Like Kanga League, it will be raining, the rain stops and they start playing. In about half an hour's time, again the rain would come again. So it's a stop, start, stop, which itself is a challenge for a batsman. Secondly, the pitch will be wet, there are no covers or anything. So when the ball bounces, you might get a little bit of mud coming onto your face. So these are the kind of challenges that one had to encounter when playing Kanga League. And Kanga League is a tournament in the ground where there will be multiple matches being played. So you might be standing at square leg for your own
And the
match.
ball is going to come from the
and
other.
it could be mid-wicket at some other place or a forward shot leg at some other match. So you have to be very careful, you have to be very alert, all those things. So Maidan cricket, the Kanga League kind of tournaments actually was a reason why Mumbai was able to produce great cricketers. Technically, I think some of the soundest cricketers that India has produced has come out of
So
Mumbai.
would you say Dilip Vengsarkar, Ravi Shastri are all product of the Kanga League system?
Absolutely. Those days, including Sunil Gavaskar, they would try and play even a Kanga League match despite the fact they were international stars. They would fly down from any of their international tours. They would turn up for the Kanga League match the next day and play. That was the kind of passion, that was the kind of commitment they had towards Mumbai cricket. They would go out and play, they would try and play as much as possible. Remember, when they play, what happens is the juniors get to learn a lot from them. By just observing them, how they prepare, that probably is not happening these days.
Very interesting. See, Sunil Gavaskar's career was from 71 to 87, right? He called time
Yeah.
after the 87 World Cup. His last test match was that fabulous 96 against Pakistan. Tendulkar's story started in 89. So in that brief 2-year period also, I would say the foremost Indian batter was Mumbai cricketer, Dilip Vengsarkar.
Correct.
Somewhere in the last 10 years, the mantle seems to have passed on to Delhi. Virat Kohli has come up in a very big way, and today the past 1 decade, he kind of represents Indian batsmanship, Indian sports in a certain way. So have things started drifting away from Mumbai cricket is the next point that we want to explore in this conversation.
Very interesting. But let me also tell you that cricket has changed. Okay, now it's no longer playing in the V in front of the wicket. It's playing in the V behind the wicket. I mean, look at the white ball cricket that these cricketers play. It's fearless, it's entertaining, and it's a lot aggressive. There is no longer, even in test match cricket, that you give the first star to the bowler. That was what was told by Gavaskar to a lot of young cricketers, that give the first star to the bowler, the rest of the 5 hours is going to be with you.
I think Constas is not going to agree with you.
No, nobody is going to agree with me. This is what I said. Gavaskar is to tell people that give the first star to the bowler, because cricket was played that way. There was no cross-batted shots because the coaches would not allow you to hit the ball up in the air. They had to play all along the ground. That was how they were trained. Nowadays, I'm sure the coaches must be telling how far can you hit it, because everything revolves around IPL and other forms of, the other white ball cricket, whether it's a Champions Trophy or the World Cup T20 or the ODI World Cup. So white ball cricket has got so much of importance these days that even cricketers are tending to focus on white ball cricket than red ball cricket.
So, but would you say that that has impacted Mumbai cricket more than the other regions?
It would, because let me tell you one thing, you flow with the tide, right? So we've suddenly started to see that cricketers have started coming from
You've developed
places.
expertise in a certain way of playing, and suddenly the rules of the game appear to be
Something
different.
what happened to hockey.
Within Indian hockey, the way the game has changed.
So what happened is that infrastructure around the country improved significantly. Now when that improved, players started coming from smaller towns. You've got somebody like Dhoni who came and became an instant hit. Then you've got Suresh Raina. You've got Sehwag came from the outskirts of Delhi. Yuvraj Singh came from Punjab. So, of course, the whole thing started with Kapil Dev coming in from Haryana. That's from where it started.
So for many years, Mumbai, Bangalore and Delhi seem to hold sway.
Absolutely.
So it's been a metro city driven phenomenon. In a way, the arrival of Kapil Dev is kind of symbolic, someone from a tier 2 town coming up. Probably Dhoni's ascendancy is also
even greater,
symbolic of that factor. And if we look all around, if you look into industry, if you look into business too, companies keep reporting faster growths in the smaller towns. There is greater
hunger.
There is more hunger, and for businesses and for industries, including sporting industry, there's a lot of opportunity in the smaller towns. So we have this India Bharat conversations that keep happening, right?
Correct.
We are now in that phase where there is the ascendancy of the Bharat. So therefore, isn't just a natural phenomenon that Mumbai is having to try a little harder to perform as much as the others?
Oh, absolutely. And I'm sure that we have not actually been able to do that, and that's the reason why you don't find too many Indian batsmen coming from Mumbai.
But counterintuitive, if that is the case. Mumbai, reigning Ranji Trophy champions.
Yeah.
Irani Trophy, Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy champions. So they seem to be winning the domestic tournaments that matter. Who are the Indian captain? The last time I checked, Rohit Sharma is the Test and ODI captain. Surya Kumar is Sky is the T20 captain. So there is some amount of presence for Mumbai cricket.
Absolutely, no denying that. But tell me one thing. You look at somebody like Gavaskar, Vengsakar, Tendulkar, Manjrekar. They were all technically so correct. Okay. I think till Rahane, I think we got a lot of players who were technically correct. Now you look at somebody like a Yashasvi Jaiswal. You look like somebody like Sarfraz Khan. Yashasvi Jaiswal still is technically correct, but then he plays a lot of strokes. Right? He comes to score runs. There is no more wearing down the opposition.
Who does he remind you of? Lara, Saurav Ganguly as a left-hander?
I think he would be more in the mold of Lara because he's far more aggressive. And
there's a lot of flair in the way he plays.
Yeah, he's got shots all around the wicket. No denying that. But his first objective when he's facing a ball is to try and score runs. That might not have been the objective with a lot of Mumbai players.
Over the years.
They tried to defend. They tried to preserve their wicket. That I think has changed. That is the mindset that has changed in this new generation. And that's the reason probably that these guys are not going for all these league, local league matches and all, because they want to go and you go and bat in a Kanga League match. It's not easy for you to just turn around and just go whack the ball out of the ground, because the ball is going to swing, seam, do everything, right? So probably that could be the reason. And also what I feel is that the Khadus mentality that the Mumbai player is well known for, I don't know whether there's any more Khadus mentality in us. The fact is that we just want to go and try and score runs quickly. Aggression is there, but that the grit, I think the Mumbai players.
So that begs a question really. Is the Khadus mentality, is that the order of the day in terms of modern batsmanship? See, we used to talk of Test cricket being the highest form of the game. Sports media used to call it the highest form of the game. I think in the past few years that narrative seems to have slightly thinned down. We instead use the word the most traditional form of the game. It's no longer the highest form of the game. In a certain way, franchising has taken over a good part of cricket. You spoke about international players being available for the Kanga League and their passion to play domestic cricket. Today we have three formats of international cricket. Somebody who is in that A plus contract who plays all three formats also is invariably a key player for the franchise,
Correct.
Which is 2 months of the year. So there is hardly any leeway in the calendar, and there seems to be a big divide in that space. We don't. I mean, there's a lot of conversations going on around Rohit, Virat, and co playing the Ranji this time. So things seem to have changed. It's part of the commercialization journey that cricket has taken in the past few years.
You just point out whether Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, I heard even Shubman Gill is going to play.
Yeah.
They're playing not because
They like
they
it.
want to play.
They have to.
They've been forced to play because probably the board or the coach, somebody has told them that if
Insisted.
you don't play, then we might not
Consider
you for the next tour. Probably that's the only reason why they're playing. Otherwise, I'm sure, because the last time Virat Kohli played Ranji Trophy was before even Sachin Tendulkar played his last Ranji Trophy match, which goes to say for a good 10-12 years, Virat Kohli hasn't played a domestic match, which is, I mean, it's bizarre. I mean, you have to go out and play Ranji Trophy cricket because that teaches you a lot of things. You learn to grind. What is the other problem that we also have is that most of these test matches are getting over within 4 days. It's a 5-day match. That's because the batsmen don't have the ability, don't have the patience to stay in the wicket for a long period of time. They have to make their quick 50, 70, 100 and they get out. Gone are the days when somebody like Gavaskar or maybe Dravid would grind themselves in, wear down the opposition, make them field. See, it's also important one should understand that batting long means keeping the fielding side on the field for longer period of time.
Right.
And that can take its toll. Mentally and physically, one gets very tired when they're on the field. Sadly, we don't do that. We at best bat about 70 overs, 60 overs and we are out. That means we don't even keep the fielding side on the field for even a day. These are the reasons why Indian cricket, I don't think in test cricket we're doing as well as what we should be doing.
So, okay, let's look at the last IPL auction, okay, and let's look at how some of the Mumbai cricketers fared. Well, on the one hand, we say that they've been doing well, winning the championships and being there at the business end of just about every domestic tournament, but some of the key Mumbai players seem to be failing at the last hurdle, let's look at, say, Sarfraz. Sarfraz has always been touted as like this giant in Ranji Trophy cricket, but somehow at the international level, he has not been able to find favor. Has he not scored runs? He has scored runs. He's got a brilliant 150 against New Zealand at the Chinnaswamy Stadium, right? But then he got out in a manner that he should not have in the subsequent test. And then he became a passenger in Australia. He never got a chance to. He was not in the reckoning in the first 11 or the first 5. Even as one substitute option, he was not in the reckoning. His name was never taken seriously. For someone who had who played such a big knock, something went wrong all of a sudden, or what is it that could have happened?
It's really sad because if you look at his domestic cricket average and the runs that he scored, it's amazing. So he in fact,
there was this narrative once, right? After Bradman, it is Sarfraz.
Because that's the kind of runs that he accumulated. So he came, he scored a century, brilliant century against New Zealand. Yes, he played a bad shot in Mumbai and he got out. And then suddenly, there were doubts whether he would be in the squad to go to Australia. Now, somebody can play a bad shot once. I know it was a bad shot, but it doesn't mean that all the 11 players who played for India haven't done anything bad on a particular day when it comes to batting.
I guess that's one of the issues, modern day batters go fast at the bowlers.
Correct.
In the process, they pick up runs, they take the game away from the opponent in a very short span of time. Say Rishabh Pant, Travis Head, these are all players in that mold. There would be days then they make mistakes that look very stupid, isn't it? So that goes with the turf, right?
Yeah, see, they're a double-edged sword. Okay.
You live by the sword, you
You
die
die
by
by the
it.
sword.
Jimmy Amarnath has gotten out playing the
So
hook
many
shot
times.
so many times. Rohit Sharma gets out to the pull so many times.
Yeah, so if you can't be overcritical about even Rishabh Pant because that's the way he plays. Now, shot selection, I think with maturity he will realize how to build a test innings, but that's not in his DNA to actually be on the field for an entire day.
I would say that's the test innings he plays.
That's the way he plays.
It's not the test innings of old. See, even Sarfraz, in his 150, scored a majority of his runs behind the wicket.
because
The
because
inverted V is where he also
correct.
scored.
So even a bouncer outside the off stump for modern day players, it's a scoring ball.
It's a legit shot. You can.
He'll pat it over the slips. Or if he bowls a slightly Yorker length, they'll go back and they'll scoop it. There are different ways to score runs. Different shots have been invented. So it is. I don't think it makes a lot of sense to be overcritical about the way players are batting, because when they score runs, then everybody applauds them, right? I mean, the way Rishabh Pant in his last tour, he actually single-handedly won us the match in Gaba. Now, this time
At Sydney, he almost took it away from Australia.
Yeah. So he is that kind of a player. He is an X factor. He's a freakish player. You have to back him. All your 11 players can't be like that. You can have one or two like that in a team, and you need to back. So, Sehwag was brilliant at the top of the order, but then Sehwag was given the license to go out and do it because he had a fantastic set of batsmen to follow, like Dravid, Tendulkar, Lakshman and Ganguly. He couldn't have asked for anything better. Even in the early 80s, Shrikant, he opened the innings and he was given the license to go out and express himself because the team that the batsman that followed was Amarnath, Vengsarkar, Azharuddin. I mean, every team will have one player who will be over aggressive. There are two ways to handle them. Either you tell them not to do it, and that is taking away their game completely, because there's no guarantee that he'll still score runs, because that's not the way he scores runs. The other is to actually sit down with him and say that there will be certain shots that he could wait till he sets himself in and then play it. So it depends on how you want to treat
So
it.
in fact, one of my biggest fears after that, the mistake, the wrong shot played by Rishabh Pant was that he will get dropped. Because if that was the case, then you would have probably dropped your one match winner.
No, it also would mean that nobody going forward would be like Rishabh Pant. And there is no harm in having a Rishabh Pant kind of a player, because what it does is it gives your bowlers enough time to pick up 20 wickets.
And also it keeps the opposition fielders at bay.
Absolutely.
You push the fielding back and the pressure is back on the fielding side.
You start scoring 20 runs for 3 overs, you find the field being spread completely.
Okay. Let me bring the conversation back to Mumbai cricketers. We were talking about Sarfraz. Sarfraz was hard done by at the auction, but not so unexpected. He didn't have a great IPL auction. But what happened with Prithvi Shaw?
Vishnu,
The flavor of the nation a few years back.
Yeah, I think Prithvi Shaw has...
He was picked
his
up
reputation has superseded.
Nosedived.
He's considered to be a bad boy. Even before they would have started the auction, they would have thought that, you know what, this guy can be a very problematic kind of a person. Now that...
So there are 10 teams. So it's not assuming it's not a collective decision. It can't be. 10 think tanks have thought the same way about him.
Just goes to show that word spreads within the teams very quickly. Yes. Maybe Ponting would have spoken to Punjab, so Punjab got out of it. If Mumbai had to pick him, they should have picked him earlier. So nobody wanted a guy like Prithvi Shaw, because what Ponting said in one of the interviews is that when he is in full flow, when he is batting very well, he likes to spend a lot of time in the nets. And when he is not doing well, he doesn't want to go to the nets. Now these are things that players like Ponting, when they say, they're taken very seriously by the other coaches, the other captains in the other franchise. And probably that's the reason why. So he has to go back, and though he was dropped in the IPL, which was quite a surprise, no team picking him up, he was dropped by even the Mumbai team, which was a bigger surprise, because am I to believe that there is somebody better than Prithvi Shaw for Mumbai to open the innings? I don't think so.
So that's the thing with these explosive batters, right? When they come good, they win you the game. We used to have this conversation. Cricket lovers used to say this about Virendra Sehwag. The point is that if it comes more out of hope that he will come good, then there's an issue. then it's quite likely that he won't come good. But if there is some method to that madness, then you might as well back that thought process that he will probably win you 2 or 3 games out of 7, and that's fine with us as long as he does that. That's about Prithvi Shaw. What about Shardul Thakur?
That was a big surprise because for any IPL franchise, having an all-rounder is huge because he'll come and bowl 2 overs. At the back end of the innings, he can score a quick 20, 15, 20 runs, which can be very, very important in the final context of the game. Not being picked by any other franchise, for somebody like Shardul Thakur, couldn't
Not being picked by any franchise. He was with CSK, right? Not even picked by MS Dhoni, who had played him a lot in the earlier seasons. But he had a terrible season in 2024. He just picked 5 wickets and scored some 20 odd runs in all the matches that he played.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Given those numbers, and if you start believing in data, if you start trusting in data, then Shardul Thakur could not have been picked. And his base price was 2 crores.
I think that's where he faltered.
For that value that he delivered last year, it's kind of a mismatch between the price
Probably
and value.
If he had kept himself at about 50 lakhs, there would have been somebody. He might have got 3 crores because during the bid, you never know, it would have gone up.
If it had started.
Correct. But to start at 2 crores, probably a lot of teams might have been a little reluctant.
So it looked like a case of mismatch between price and value in the case of Shardul Thakur.
Sure. But with Shaw, I still believe that it may not entirely be cricket reasons because of whatever flair that he
brings, that the reputation that preceded
him.
him.
That's the only reason. I mean, I don't think because, see, the day he is on song, he can finish the game for you probably in the first 6 overs. He's that kind of a batsman.
On the contrary, Ajinkya Rahane had a happy signing with
he had a last-minute signing.
Yeah.
I
think that was a good signing too.
Because first 2 rounds, nobody picked him. And it looked like that nobody might. Yeah. But suddenly KKR thought that maybe they were looking for a captain as well. Yeah, because Shreyas Iyer had gone. And I don't think, there was a lot of rumor that Rinku Singh might be a captain, but I don't think he's still up there to become the captain. And I don't think they wanted to give this responsibility to somebody like Russell or somebody. So probably that's the reason why they took Ajinkya Rahane only for his captaincy, and then of course.
And he did play a few good knocks for CSK.
Yeah, he did play, and probably with Chandrakant Pandit being the coach out there, might be able to get in a little more of life into Ajinkya Rahane's batting.
So look at the positives. The next big thing appears to be Jaiswal at this point of time. So a lot to look forward to for Mumbai Cricket. A city cricket association that has given us a lot of joy. I'm sure that it will continue to be the case in future too.
Yeah, Jaiswal is a very complete kind of a batsman. I mean, there's a lot of hope on Jaiswal, and there's no reason why he will not be successful because he had a pretty good outing in Australia. Only thing is that a lot of people want him to be the captain, and I don't think he's ready to be the captain right now. Maybe 2 years from now he could be a captain, but he hasn't captained a state side. He hasn't captained even his franchise, so we don't know how good a captain he is. And he is aggressive because we heard on Stump Mike the kind of conversations that he had with Constars and with Stark and all these guys. So I don't know whether that youth, the exuberance of youth is still there in him. I think maybe a couple of years later he might mellow down a bit. He'll get more focused in his batting and he can be groomed. But right now, I don't think he is captaincy material.
So this 19th Jan, there's going to be a glittering ceremony to commemorate Wankhede.
That'll be a fantastic.
That'll be a fantastic thing. Yeah. Are you looking forward to it?
Oh, definitely.
That's all we have today. Thank you. See you again.